New Year's Eve. My husband's childhood friend deliberately burned me with a fairy wand. Afterward, she not only refused to apologize, but also egged my husband on to lock me overnight inside the snake god's stone temple on the mountaintop, saying that if I passed the snake god's test I would be able to conceive smoothly. I begged my husband to take me back, and told him I was 2 months pregnant. My husband didn't believe me. Audrey, you know how it is. Our family has had only one heir for 3 generations. Just do this for me, stay inside for one night. With that he left with his childhood friend without even looking back. Later, after my husband's family personally scattered the ashes, his whole family went mad. By the time I crawled down to the foot of the mountain, the blood that had come from my lower body had long since dried on my pants. Finally, my phone had signal. I bit my teeth and dialed Adrian's number. The moment he picked up, his roar thundered in my ear. Audrey, what are you up to now? Vivian was so frightened by you last night she had a fever that wouldn't break, and here you are hiding out in a snake temple like nothing happened. I was so angry my words came out in gasps. Adrian, you're an animal. You left me alone in the snake god temple, deep in the mountains. Do you know I almost died here? Before I could finish, a sharp pain in my palm made me gasp. I looked down. Both my hands were covered in blisters from burns. Vivian had deliberately burned me last night. All I had asked for was an apology, but she played the victim first and accused me of scaring her. Worse, my husband not only didn't help me, he actually teamed up with Vivian to lock me in the snake temple. A sudden cramp squeezed my abdomen, as if a pair of merciless hands were twisting my insides. I bit my lower lip hard, holding back the tears welling up, and forced out, Adrian, come get me and take me to the hospital. The baby can't be saved. On the other end there was a pause like someone had pressed pause. Then his voice grew colder and more cutting. Audrey, stop pretending. I saw you on your period last month. What are you playing at, pretending to be pregnant now? Adrian, please. I broke down and cried, snot and tears smeared across my face. Help me save the baby. My cries went through the receiver. Adrian stayed silent for a long time. Just when I thought I might have hope, Vivian's aggrieved voice came through. Adrian G., Audrey has used this trick on you so many times. It's New Year's Day, just spend more time with me. Used this trick? A bitter, self-mocking smile tugged at my mouth. Every time I had gotten sick, Adrian would only come see me for a moment before being called away by Vivian with all kinds of excuses. I forced myself to suppress every emotion. Adrian, I'm asking you one last time. Are you coming or not? He was silent a long while, then said, Vivian's hurt and needs me. Make your own way back. In that moment I felt as if I'd plunged into an icy hell, trembling with cold. I said nothing more and hung up decisively. My fingers mechanically dialed 119 and 120. My phone lit up, and a notification of Vivian's Moments update flashed across the screen. A 9-photo grid. Each picture an intimate shot of her and Adrian, nauseatingly sweet and glaring. The caption read, Adrian, this is the 27th new year you've spent with me. From now on, year after year, never apart. Below, Adrian's comment stabbed like a needle. The last second of the year is you, the first second of the new year is you. For the rest of my life, it's all you. Seeing that, a cold smile curled at my lips. The chill pierced to my bones. Weakly I forced my mouth into a curl and left a comment under her moments. So sweet. Wishing you two locked together forever, never to part. Waves of heat surged from deep within me. I clutched my belly and whispered, Baby, I'm sorry, Mommy failed you, couldn't protect you. Tears blurred my vision and my consciousness began to fade. In a daze, I seemed to see the baby transform into a little snake, gently nuzzle me, and then slowly vanish into the darkness. I woke up to the harsh, white lights of the hospital, stinging my eyes. The nurse looked at me with pity, whispering, The baby. We couldn't save it. I had little family of my own growing up, and Adrian's family had only one son for 3 generations. This was a child we both longed for. I had planned to tell them the good news at the reunion dinner on New Year's Eve, but before we could even eat, Adrian and the others dragged me out. My emotions suddenly collapsed. The hospital corridor was empty on the first day of the Lunar New Year. Only my cries echoed for a long time. I don't know how long it took, but I finally calmed down and came to my senses. I picked up my phone and saw countless missed calls. The next second, the phone rang again. Audrey, are you sick in the head? I'm married to you. Vivian is just a childhood friend. What are you jealous of? Oh, let's get a divorce, I said calmly. The other end of the phone went silent. Adrian probably didn't expect me to suddenly bring up divorce. Audrey, don't be crazy. I just spent New Year's Eve with a friend, and you dare to mention divorce? Fine, if you want a divorce, we'll go tomorrow. Whoever doesn't go is a son of a bitch. Adrian hung up the phone in anger, completely forgetting that he had left me alone in the deep mountains and forests. I couldn't help but ask myself, when did Adrian, who used to follow me around like a puppy even when I was just taking out the trash, become so indifferent to my life and death? That afternoon, I checked out of the hospital, clutching the child's urn tightly in my hands. It was a delicate urn that I had chosen specifically, hoping that the child would be happy in the next life. As soon as I opened the door to the house, I saw a chaotic mess. All sorts of balloons and streamers were scattered on the floor, and cake stains were everywhere, making it impossible to even step inside. Adrian and his friends were playing games, and only glanced at me coldly when they saw me return. Vivian saw me and a strange light flashed in his eyes. He said in a sarcastic tone, Audrey, why are you back so late? Did you have too much fun outside? After speaking, he pretended to clean up the garbage on the floor. Adrian saw this, and a trace of pity flashed in his eyes. Audrey, you even know to come back? Do you even care about this family anymore? Hurry up and clean up. As he spoke, Adrian snatched the broom from Vivian's hand and shoved it into mine. I was both angry and amused. The violent fluctuation of emotions caused a sharp pain in my weakened body. I gritted my teeth and said, Adrian, why should I clean up your mess? We'll get a divorce tomorrow. I paid the down payment on this house, you all get out. Adrian was stunned. Vivian, who was on the side, laughed disdainfully. Audrey, you'll be willing to get a divorce? Are you just bluffing to avoid cleaning? Adrian seemed to suddenly realize something and said with disgust, Audrey, I just locked you in the snake god temple. Is it necessary to go this far? And didn't you lie to me about being pregnant? My suppressed emotions erupted instantly. I roared, Adrian, you're a beast. What do you mean I lied to you? I curse you to never have children in your life. With a loud smack, Adrian slapped me across the face. I fell to the ground, clutching my aching stomach, feeling utterly heartbroken. When Adrian saw me in pain, a trace of guilt flashed in his eyes. Audrey, you know how much I wanted a child. You shouldn't have used that to provoke me. One of Adrian's friends, who was holding him back, also said, Audrey, you know how much Hui values children. You shouldn't have said something like that. I looked up at Adrian and his friends. They were all standing in front of Vivian like mother hens protecting their chicks. Get out, all of you get out. I roared with all my might. Suddenly a stern voice came. What are you all doing? I looked up and saw Adrian's parents. Adrian's brothers, seeing the situation was bad, scattered in all directions. Vivian, however, affectionately took Mrs. Shaw's arm. Mrs. Shaw pushed her away with disdain, stepping back. Don't touch me. Vivian looked at Adrian with grievance, and Adrian looked at his mother with reproach. Mrs. Shaw disliked Vivian. Even before Adrian was married, she had always used her status as a confidant to drive away girls from Adrian's side. The Shaw family had few descendants, and she had always hoped that Adrian would marry and have children soon. But Vivian was infertile. Mr. Shaw's eagle-like gaze swept around the room and finally landed on me. He said sternly, I don't care what happened between you, the child is the bottom line. If any of you dare to make trouble with the child again, I won't let you off. I struggled to my feet from the ground, looking around at everyone in the room with their own agendas, and a wave of nausea washed over me. Walking into the master bedroom, the first thing I saw was red lace lingerie on the bed, clearly Vivian's handiwork. My heart, numb with pain, could still feel a wave of throbbing pain. I grabbed my ID card and quickly packed a few clothes. Since they didn't want to leave, then I would. I wanted to throw up just being here for another second. At that moment, Mrs. Shaw walked out and immediately noticed the delicate box in my hand. I immediately snatched the box, grabbed my suitcase, and walked out of the room. Her eyebrows immediately furrowed, her eyes full of disgust, and she coldly scolded, Audrey, how long have you been trying to get pregnant? Still holding a makeup box. How ridiculous. Where are you going? Are you running away from home? My heart was filled with grief, and I couldn't bother to pay attention to her. I just wanted to leave as soon as possible. But Vivian, as if deliberately looking for trouble, rushed towards me when she saw me, reaching out to snatch the urn in my hand. Audrey, what kind of makeup is so precious? Let me have a look too. I held the urn tightly and roared, Vivian, let go. This isn't makeup. But she was strong and forcefully snatched the box away, smiling as she opened it. This powder looks pretty fine, Audrey. You were keeping secrets. As she spoke, she tossed her hand, and the ashes flew out. No. I felt a darkness before my eyes and rushed over like a madwoman, wanting to protect this last bit of memory. Vivian, that's my child's ashes. My eyes were bloodshot, tears streaming down my face uncontrollably as I reached out to grab it. But she deftly dodged. Adrian and Mrs. Shaw looked shocked. Adrian stepped forward. Audrey, don't be crazy. It's just a box of ordinary loose powder. What nonsense are you talking about? My child's ashes? Are you crazy? My hand trembling, I took out the miscarriage report from my bag and held it out to them, sobbing. Look at this, it's the hospital's miscarriage certificate. The baby is gone, this is really his ashes. Unexpectedly, Mrs. Shaw not only didn't believe me, but slapped my hand away, and the certificate fell to the ground. Stop pretending to be pitiful. You couldn't have gotten pregnant and had a miscarriage in just one day, could you? Don't think you can fool us with a fake report. I think you just can't bear to part with your makeup, and are lying through your teeth. With that, Mrs. Shaw took the urn from Vivian's hand and dumped all the ashes out. Adrian was also indifferent, with a hint of sarcasm. Audrey, haven't you made enough of a scene? I don't care about the little tricks you usually play, but is it funny to joke about something like this? I collapsed to the ground, watching my child's ashes scattered in the air, my heart as dead as ashes. Just then, Adrian's phone rang, and he answered it impatiently, his face turning pale instantly. On the other end of the phone was Mr. Shaw's Taoist friend, his voice urgent and panicked. Adrian, I just cast a hexagram, and it seems like the Shaw family line is about to end. Has something happened on your end? Your family should have offspring arriving soon, but this variable is sudden and very ominous. Adrian's hand holding the phone trembled slightly. He slowly turned his head to look at me, panic for the first time in his eyes. You really had a miscarriage? Son, what did you just say? Mrs. Shaw stared fixedly at the paper that had fallen to the ground, her face turning white as a sheet, her whole body trembling. Audrey, you make it clear to me, are you trying to use some underhanded tricks to deceive us again? Mrs. Shaw was interrupted by Adrian before she could finish speaking. He stepped forward, grabbed my wrist, and questioned in a hoarse voice. Audrey, why didn't you tell me earlier? If I had known you were pregnant, how could I have? I suddenly shook off his hand with all my might, shouting almost hysterically. Didn't I tell you? You didn't believe my stomach hurt. You didn't believe a single word I said. Now it's good, the child is gone, and you're asking me why I didn't say it earlier? Adrian looked up, wanting to refute something, but found that even a light explanation sounded so pale and weak. His fists clenched tightly, but he could only look at me. Audrey, I'm sorry. I didn't look at him anymore, only feeling a cold laugh in my heart. Sorry. My child can't hear it anymore. As soon as Mrs. Shaw heard this, her originally furious expression became even more ferocious. Even if you were pregnant, couldn't you have taken better care of your body? Why make such a fuss during the new year? And even run to the remote mountains alone? Aren't you deliberately looking for trouble? Wanting something to happen? Mr. Shaw turned and shouted sharply at Mrs. Shaw, you've already scattered our grandson's ashes. What are you still fussing about? That might have been our only grandson. Mr. Shaw sighed. The Shaw family has always had difficulty in producing offspring. But now he was told that just a day ago he had a grandson, and now there's only a pile of ashes on the ground. Mrs. Shaw trembled after being shouted at, not daring to look at me, only Enchang Banjia. I didn't know, it was that girl Vivian who snatched the box first. On the other side of the room, Vivian's presence suddenly became strong. She slowly walked up to me, wearing a smile that wasn't a smile. Sister Audrey, if you really had a miscarriage, there's no need to blame others, right? After all, it was your own carelessness. Shut up, Mr. Shaw suddenly turned his head, glaring at her with cold eyes. Vivian's expression paused slightly, and she took a step back, grabbing Adrian's arm, as if she was the one who had been wronged. But Adrian didn't even see her, kneeling down abruptly, collecting the ashes on the ground bit by bit. Mrs. Shaw watched her son's humble appearance, muttering to herself, "The child is gone. What's the point of making a fuss? What's the use of investigating responsibility now? Could it be that you want Sihui to divorce her?" "Yes, we're getting divorced." I looked at Adrian, word by word. "Adrian, we'll go get a divorce tomorrow. You promised." Adrian's hand stopped collecting the ashes. He looked up at me, pain surfacing in his eyes. He wanted to approach me, but I pushed him away. For a moment, everyone was silent. Adrian got up from the ground, rushed in front of me, his voice carrying a hint of pleading. "Audrey, I know it's too late to say anything now, but please give me a chance to make amends." I looked at him coldly, as if looking at a stranger. "Make amends? What will you use to make amends? Can you bring my child back to life?" After saying that, I turned to leave. I really didn't want to stay in this place full of painful memories for even a second longer. Seeing this, Adrian hurriedly grabbed my arm. "Audrey, don't go, listen to me." Just then, Vivian suddenly straightened her back and announced loudly, "I'm pregnant." These 4 words were like a bombshell, instantly freezing the air in the room. I looked at Vivian in front of me, feeling this scene was both absurd and real. A triumphant smile played on her lips, as if enjoying my awkwardness and pain. But all I felt was a coldness in my heart, nothing else. "I'm pregnant." She looked at me, seemingly wanting to see me panic. But I just pursed my lips and said nothing. Adrian snapped back to reality, his eyes wide, looking urgently at Vivian, his voice trembling. "Vivian, what did you say? How is that possible?" Vivian raised her chin slightly, glancing at me, her eyes full of provocation and triumph. "Just what I said, brother Adrian. I'm carrying your child." Adrian waved his hands frantically, striding over to me to explain. "Audrey, don't misunderstand. Vivian and I really don't have anything going on, absolutely impossible." Before he could finish, Vivian interrupted him, sneering. "How is it impossible? That time you were drinking with me, I got drunk, and then this happened." Mr. Shaw's face was ashen, but when he looked at Vivian's not-so-obvious belly, he restrained his anger, his voice slightly hoarse. "Is this child of the Shaw family bloodline?" "Yes." Vivian lowered her head, answering carefully. "The doctor said it was quite rare for me to conceive this time due to my physical condition." Mrs. Shaw immediately became excited, fussing over Vivian, as if she had found a treasure. The atmosphere in the room suddenly became strange. The traces of ashes still remaining on the ground were completely trampled under their feet by their excitement. Mr. and Mrs. Shaw immediately decided to take Vivian back to the old house. Mr. Shaw, who had just been full of guilt towards me, didn't even look at me now, leaving only one sentence. "Adrian, now that Vivian is pregnant, you and Audrey should get a divorce as soon as possible." As they left, the room became quiet at once. Only the messy balloons and scattered debris remained, along with Adrian and me. The sound of the door closing was particularly muffled, causing a surge of resentment to rise within me. Adrian stood not far away, motionless, his head lowered, his lips trembling, trying to speak several times but swallowing it back. The air stagnated for a long time before he finally took 2 steps, his voice hoarse. "I'm sorry, Audrey, Vivian and I are really innocent. I didn't expect things to develop to this point." I raised my eyes to look at him, my eyes filled with undisguised resentment. "You and Vivian already have a child, and you can still say you're innocent?" A look of panic appeared in his eyes. "I know I was wrong, but that time was really just an accident. I don't have any romantic feelings for her, and I certainly didn't want to betray you. That day she was drunk, crying the whole time. I sent her home, and then, I really don't remember." "Shut up." I flung off his outstretched hand, my heart filled with anger and bitterness. "Don't touch me again, get out. Get out of my sight right now, you disgust me." Adrian's voice was pleading. "Audrey, can't we not be like this? I really love you. I'm willing to make it up to you. Vivian being pregnant, that was just an accident, I won't marry her." I interrupted him with a cold smile. Does that matter? Adrian, we're going to get a divorce tomorrow, and from now on, anything about you has nothing to do with me. When I said the word divorce, I clearly felt his whole body jolt. He was silent for a long time. Audrey, I know you love me, can't we not get divorced? I know I was wrong. Love you. I felt a tearing pain in my heart. Recalling those scenes from the past, my body grew colder. He had once brought me ginger tea in the snow, staying by my side all night, just to help my fever go down faster. He had also silently driven me home when I was working late into the night, even bringing me porridge that had been simmering for a long time. At that time, our relationship was sweet, and he cherished me like a treasure, but now it had all changed. It had changed from the moment he sided with Vivian. I put the ashes I had collected into Adrian's hands, my voice resolute. Adrian, from now on, I don't want anything about you anymore, including this child's ashes. We're getting divorced, tomorrow at the Civil Affairs Bureau. His breath hitched, his lips parted and closed several times, but in the end, he didn't say a word of rebuttal. The next day, I decided to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to finalize the divorce, but Adrian suddenly disappeared. After I packed all my belongings and was planning to sell the house, I was about to leave with my suitcase when Adrian came back from outside, looking extremely haggard. His voice was hoarse. Audrey, don't go. I remained unmoved and said coldly, why should I stay? I told you we're getting divorced today. He panted, his eyes filled with panic. Vivian's child. It's not mine. My movements froze, and after a few seconds of silence I said, so what? I don't care. He seemed not to expect my response. His hand, which was gripping my arm, paused, then tightened until it almost hurt. Audrey, nothing really happened between Vivian and me that night. You know I only have feelings for you. I won't be with anyone else. I pulled his hand away and took a step back. His eyes turned red, and he said urgently, Audrey, believe me. After Vivian gives birth, I'll send her far away. Her child will be our child. We haven't lost our child. I felt a sharp pain in my heart. Adrian, you disgust me. His face turned pale. He lunged forward and hugged me, his eyes reddening. I'm sorry. I really know I was wrong. Every time I think about the child, I regret it terribly. I shouldn't have listened to Vivian's encouragement, and I shouldn't have left you alone in the remote mountains. Audrey, I was really out of my mind then. I struggled to push him away. This belated remorse only made me feel worse. Regret? Where were you when I crawled out of the snake temple? You were by Vivian's side, taking care of her fever, thinking she was a weak woman afraid of being frightened. When did you ever think about whether I lived or died? He staggered back 2 steps, his hands frozen in midair, his whole body trembling. Before he could finish speaking, rapid footsteps came from outside the door. Mrs. Shaw and Mr. Shaw pushed the door open, looking furious. Mrs. Shaw's face was unpleasant. You're arguing and making noise early in the morning. What will people say? Audrey, since Vivian's child isn't Adrian's, can't you give him a chance? Young people, what is there that you can't get over? I didn't even look at her and said indifferently, Mrs. Shaw, not all mistakes can be erased. Besides, we genuinely lost our child. Mr. Shaw frowned. Audrey, don't make such a big deal out of it. Our Shaw family has few descendants. We really can't afford any more mistakes. Take good care of yourself in the future, and you can always get pregnant again. Seeing my resolute attitude, Adrian knelt down in front of me, tears welling up in his eyes. Audrey, please, for the sake of our past feelings, give me a chance. Even if you don't want any more children, I'll accept it. His humble appearance was completely different from the day before. But it was this stark contrast that made the wound in my heart even more bloody. So not wanting children was also acceptable. What was all that time he pressured me to have children about? Remembering the days of trying to conceive, I only felt pain all over my body. In the first few days, I was still quite enthusiastic, treating every nutritional supplement as an investment in the future, and every morning exercise as a ritual to awaken my body. But as time went on, various physical burdens and discomforts began to attack me in turn. Nausea, vomiting, and fatigue became almost commonplace. I could only force myself to persevere, gritting my teeth to get through the most difficult stages. But what about him? Every time I happily discovered some subtle changes in my body and wanted to share them with him, he would either use work as an excuse or simply go accompany Vivian on social occasions. He would casually drop a sentence, "You rest first," and hang up the phone without another word of concern. Finally, Adrian and I divorced, and I took most of his assets. The moment I received the divorce certificate, I felt only relief. I used to think leaving Adrian would be difficult, but now I find that leaving him only brings me ease. But after the divorce, Adrian turned back into the Adrian who used to love me. He started waiting for me after work at the company, bringing me snacks just like before. Bringing me gifts and flowers that I used to love. It turns out, he always knew what I liked, he just didn't care before. And I would always accept his gifts. And then, when he was happy, I would throw them in the trash. On the Lantern Festival, the city was decorated with fireworks, dreamlike and beautiful. I was on the rooftop terrace with friends, enjoying the splendor when my phone suddenly rang. It was a text message from Adrian. "Audrey, I'm waiting for you at the old place. Please come one last time." After hesitating again and again, I went, almost against my will. In the center of the park where we used to date, Adrian stood surrounded by fireworks. When he saw me, his eyes were red-rimmed. "Audrey, give me another chance. I'll spend the rest of my life atoning." As he spoke, he tremblingly picked up a sparkler, lit it, and fireworks rose into the air, illuminating his face full of regret. "Remember how you said that when you were little during the new year, your biggest regret was not playing with enough fireworks? I'll make up for it all today." I turned my head away, not wanting to be pulled into the memories. "Adrian, it's too late." He acted as if he hadn't heard, and continued speaking to himself. "I figured it out. Whether or not we have children doesn't matter, as long as I have you. It was my obsession that blinded me before, and I lost you." He suddenly brought the sparkler close to his arm, the sparks instantly burning his skin red, but he didn't even flinch. "It hurts, but this pain is not even 1,000th of the pain I caused you. Audrey, please forgive me." I didn't feel any emotion and calmly asked, "Are you crazy?" He forced a bitter smile. "Yes, I've been crazy for a long time. Ever since that night I left you at the Snake Temple." Looking at him now, consumed by love, I seemed to see my former self. I slowly bent down, my fingers trembling as I unbuckled my belt. Adrian showed a look of excitement, but the next second, his smile froze on his face. Under the moonlight, the scars winding down my legs looked particularly terrifying. There were long bloody scratches from being cut by branches, and bruises from hitting stones. These scars, stretching from my thighs down to my calves, were left when I desperately crawled back from the Snake Temple. Each one engraved with the despair and helplessness I felt at that time. My voice became sharp with anger. "Adrian, open your eyes and take a good look at how I crawled back step by step from that desolate Snake Temple." Adrian's face turned pale instantly. His lips trembled as he tried to reach out and touch the scars, but he didn't dare. "Audrey." I didn't give him a chance to breathe, and continued to pour out my feelings. During the pregnancy preparation days, I lived worse than a pig or a dog. To get pregnant, I got up before dawn every day, drinking those bitter Chinese medicines, bowl after bowl, until I felt nauseous. When there was a promotion opportunity at the company, I had to give it up, for fear that the stress would affect my conception. I carefully protected every possible chance of conceiving, not even daring to turn over in my sleep, afraid of pressing on my stomach. But what were you doing? You were eating, drinking, and having fun with Vivian, ignoring me completely. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms, but I couldn't feel any pain. Adrian slammed his head hard on the ground, his forehead instantly red and swollen. "It's my fault, Audrey. Now I wish I could kill my past self. Audrey, please give me a chance to make amends. Even if it takes a lifetime to repay, I'd be willing." I snorted coldly. "Make amends? What can you use to make amends?" At this moment, the fireworks in the sky were still blooming continuously, colorful and brilliant, but my heart was as silent as death. Adrian still didn't give up. He got up from the ground and fumbled to take out a velvet box from his pocket. He opened it, and inside was a diamond ring that I had longed for a long time. A ring that I never had when we got married. "Audrey, I bought this a long time ago to give to you. I originally wanted to give you a surprise when the baby was born. I'm a bastard, I lost everything. Please accept it. I raised my hand and swept, sending the box and the ring flying far away. Adrian, stay away from me. I'm afraid that one day I won't be able to stop myself from killing you. And then I'll have to go to jail. I turned away decisively, taking each step with determination. And behind me came Adrian's collapsed sobbing. That day, the sky was terribly gloomy, and I dragged my tired body back to my small apartment after work. As soon as I stepped into the alley entrance, I heard a strange noise, like something crawling on the ground. I frowned and carefully walked forward. When I focused my eyes, my scalp tingled. A striped snake was curled up at the door. Its thick body gleamed coldly in the dim light, and its scarlet tongue flicked in and out, making a threatening, hissing sound. Clearly, it wasn't an ordinary wild snake. The deliberate placement of malice was obvious. Audrey, don't go near it. That snake is venomous. Adrian's anxious voice suddenly sounded behind me. I turned my head and saw him rushing down the stairs, looking flustered, pulling me behind him. Before I could say anything, a name flashed through my mind, Vivian. After the divorce, I heard rumors that she had been severely humiliated by Mrs. Shaw because she was pregnant with someone else's child, losing face and her job. The next second, the striped snake suddenly lunged, like an arrow towards me. In that life-or-death moment, Adrian rushed forward without hesitation, using his body to shield me. Ugh! He groaned softly, his arm pierced by the snake's fangs, and blood gushed out. I stood there, my mind blank, so nervous I forgot to breathe. It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, how could I have ended up like this? You should die. A hoarse, piercing voice came. I looked up and saw Vivian suddenly appear, her face twisted, her eyes full of distorted hatred, holding a snakeskin bag in her hand, obviously the tool for transporting the snake. Unexpectedly, after biting Adrian, the striped snake turned along the ground and darted towards Vivian at an extremely fast speed. She was stunned for a moment, and before she could dodge, she was bitten hard on the leg. A shrill scream pierced the corridor. Vivian instantly fell to the ground. Her face as pale as paper, blood gushing from the wound, and with the spread of the venom, she convulsed in pain, unable to utter a coherent curse. Still in shock, I dragged Adrian downstairs and called the police. When the ambulance arrived screaming, Vivian was already delirious and was hurriedly carried into the car. The poisonous snake was captured by the security personnel. Adrian was still holding my cold hand tightly, trying to soothe my panic, but his own face was ashen and his lips were turning purple. The emergency room lights were bright, so bright that they hurt the eyes. A few hours later, the hospital brought terrible news. Vivian died due to the rapid spread of the poison. Although Adrian's life was saved, the bite caused severe damage to his organs, and he was likely to lose his fertility. He sat on the hospital bed, his expression blank, and after a long time, he forced a bitter smile. I sat by the bed, looking at his pale face, my heart filled with mixed emotions. I said softly, "You rest first, don't think too much." The next morning, as soon as I entered the company building, Adrian's mother rushed into the lobby, wailing at the top of her voice. "It's all your fault that my son lost his fertility. You jinx, you ruined our Shaw family." She shouted and yelled indiscriminately, reaching out to hit me. Just as I was about to call security, I suddenly heard an angry roar. "Mom, enough!" Turning around, I saw Adrian had also arrived, his arm wrapped in bandages, his face still pale, pulling his mother away. "Stop making a scene. This is Audrey's company. You're just making it harder for me." Seeing his mother still struggling, his tone became even colder. "If you keep insulting her, I'll take you back to our hometown immediately, and you can forget about ever seeing me again." These words stunned Mrs. Shaw. She glared at me with a frustrated expression, and then he forcibly dragged her out of the company. In the second before they left the company, I said coldly, "Adrian, let's not see each other again in the future." Adrian was silent for a long time, and finally turned back and looked at me deeply. "Okay." Later, I heard that the Shaw family took Adrian to famous doctors everywhere, hoping to cure his infertility, but it was all in vain. Mr. and Mrs. Shaw were unwilling and wanted to have another child themselves, but the doctor also determined that it was impossible. Adrian's personality became gloomy, and he didn't like to go out, often sitting alone in the courtyard of the Shaw family's old house. It was said that the courtyard was very large, but terribly empty. Mr. and Mrs. Shaw argued constantly, blaming each other, but their son could no longer satisfy them. Occasionally, I would hear from old friends that Adrian seemed to be deliberately inquiring about my news, but I had no intention of looking back. That day in the company lobby, my last sentence, "Let's not see each other again in the future," was like a deep trench, completely separating us into different worlds. And now, I am peacefully sitting in a sunny new home, and the baby in my arms happens to be a little snake baby, born in early spring. My husband saw me leaning against the window, coaxing the baby, and gently walked over, placing a tender kiss on my forehead. "Are you tired? Do you want to rest for a while?" I looked up and smiled at him, handed the baby to his arms, and watched them, father and son, gently leaning against each other. That scene was more reassuring than any words.